Okay, let me see if there's anything here. Okay, thank you. It's recording. Okay, so today we're talking about vectors. We're talking about collection and data organization. And we're going to start with vectors. So vectors are lists that can grow. So you don't have to specify how the length of a vector. So here we're gonna show it in action. So I'm going to use Visual Studio Code to show you how it works. So let me just remove all this code. And so we're going to create a function main, and we're going to start by creating a mutative the mute number equal vec and so here, like we've used mute before, so mute just tells us that we can mutate whatever value that is here. It's not going to be static. And this is how you call a new vector an empty vector. So it's kind of like a container where you can store different items, and each item have an index number that also start with 0. So those items can be a string, it can be an integer, it can be a number, whatever it is. It can be a name, can be anything. So now, how do you now add on to now, like when you do that, initially it's empty. This is an empty vector. Empty vector. So to add something onto it, you do this, simply push. So here we're going to be adding numbers. So simply push 10, for example. And this is gonna be adding 10 on index 0. And then we add another thing. So this is going to add 20, and then we can keep. So the list is just going to keep growing. And let's say 55. So now we're going to print out, let's see, we're now going to get values from the whole vector. So to do that, simply have to do this. And be careful here. We're not just doing this like, because normally we do this, then you press numbers. This is going to give us an error message. So I'm just going to intentionally do this. So I want you guys to see something here. It's a bit slow. It's taking long to load. Okay, let me just go back to the slides in the meantime to save time. Okay, so let mute, like here, this line just create an empty list, and then we add values on the vector like that, numbers of push 20 or whatever. And to print the list, we just do like, we do our print, and then it's going to print 10, 20, just going to print the list that we've created. And we can also use a string, let fruit equal vec. This was another way. Instead of, you can see here, we just created an empty list, but you can also create a list that's already filled up. Like here, for example, there is apple, there's banana, and then there's oranges. And then you can print it. And you can also add to fruit if it's mutable. Let's see how far it looks. I hope everything makes sense so far. So let's go to here. Why is it taking so long? Let me clear. Oh yeah. We had an error message. Here they say cannot be formatted by default formatter. So we use the default formatter here, which was gonna give an error anyway. So this is what also good about using the compiler. It tells you where your mistake is. Like here, we made a mistake. So this is where our error is coming, and we can also read what's going on. The trade standard format display is not implemented, and here they tell us that in format string you may be able to use this or that for pretty print. So this is what we're supposed to be using to give us the correct output. And let's run it. Let me first clear everything here and cargo run. And so slow. And okay, here's just an explanation. Vec new creates an empty list, push adds the item to the list, print is used when printing the list or other complex data. And you can also create a list directly with vec as shown here. So it basically works like using an array. So yes, there it is. So we print out the list of everything that we pushed. Let's let fruits equal vec, and then we put banana, we put apple, we put ice cream. And let's not forget our comma. And then we're going to print. So I want to ask you a question very soon. We print. I'm going to be printing the fruit, the whole list of fruits. Okay, it's going to give us the expected result. So we all know that this is going to print out banana, a list of banana, apple, ice cream. So this is what we expect. So as shown, I hope you can see my screen, hey? Let me see. Can you guys see my screen properly? My code. Okay, thank you. So here is the output from that. So now let's say I say here, I say fruit dot push, and then I add lemon. So this is a code that I created. Wait, let me just change up something here. Move this. My view. Oh man. And let me take this here. All right. So the question for you guys is, if up here I add a new code, fruit.push lemon, what is going to happen at the bottom here? Like, what list is it going to print out? Is it going to give us a list of banana, apple, ice cream, and then lemon? Or is it going to be something else? And if it's something else, thank you. Yes, correct. It's going to give us an error because, let's see. I didn't save this. It's going to give us an error because it's not mutable. You can see cannot borrow as mutable, consider changing this to mutable, let mute. So it even tell it, the error messages, the error message even gives us solution here. So you have to put mute here. Thank you, Rudolph. And here we're just going to, come on, what's going on here? My laptop is acting up today. Cargo. Man. Okay, now let's see what's gonna happen now. After changing to mute, you can see now since it's mutable, since the vector is mutable, then this was added to the list. Now we're gonna move on to the next. Lesson 3. Okay, where were we? So we did this, we did an example net. And now we're going to work with looping through a list of vectors. So just like dealing with arrays, you can loop through a list. Like here, the code is basically saying that let's go equal vec, this vector. So this vector has these values, 85, 92, 78. And here now is for score. So we created an index, an index called score in score. So here we borrow scores from here by using the n, so that we don't move the value, you don't move out the value. So now we have for score in scores, and then we print out every index. So it's going to be index 0, it's going to print out 85, it's going to print out score. This is the text that we added, score here, and then 85, and then it's going to be 92, and it's going to be 70, so on and so forth. So let's see that in action. Let's remove let's score scores equal vec, and we have 13, 66, 45. So now we're gonna for we write the index, and then we borrow scores. For score in scores, you do the following. Print out. Print out this. So it's gonna be this text score, and then wait, score, and I'm just going to print out the index. So what this does is going to print out every index in each index here, starting from 0. So the 0th index, first index, and then the last index. Very much simple. Wait, there's something wrong. Okay, it expected the error from the previous code. So oh yeah, my bad. So this is the final. This is what it's printing, the last code that we added here. So it's pretty much simple. It's working through this list. I want to think of something to mess up with this code. Okay, let's move on. Hash map. So now hash map works like a dictionary, and it has two ports. Just another way of storing information. It has two ports. It has a key and it has a value. So you can use the key to find the value, like sort of like a dictionary. You want to find the meaning of the word fast, for example. Then you look for the key fast, and the value is just going to be the meaning of that word. So this is how it works. First thing that you do here is you have to import this from the standard library, from Rust standard library, to be able to use the hash map. So you can't just use the hash map without first importing this. And once you've importing this, so you're basically now calling this function hash map. So a function that was created by Rust that is in this library, in the collection library. So this is how it works. You have function main, and here we're starting with let's mute scores. So we create a new hash map, and it has two values, as we said. The first value, and then there's a second value. So to insert values, we use the insert. So it's going to be scores that we created, scores, and dot insert the two keys. So the first key here, this is the key, Alice, and then the value, 95. And then there's also another key here. We also inserted another item that has these values, Bob, which is the key, and then 87, the score, the value. And then to find it, to find the score, you want to find the score for Alice. Then we're going to do this. So if the score, we use this to make sure that we use a dot get to make sure that it returns an option that can either be valid or invalid. So there's these two options. So if there's a value that exists, then it's going to print out Alice, and then it's going to look at the value on the Alice. In this case, the value on the Alice is 95. So it's going to print Alice 95. But if Alice does not exist in this hash map, then it's going to print out not found. So here it shows us like how it works. Hash map new, create a new empty map, and insert stores in the data, and then get key looks up the return. So let's see it in action, and let's maybe do something together. Hold on. Okay, I just want to make sure everything's okay so far. So do everyone, does it make sense so far? Before we work together? Okay, so let's do this. Let me use a split screen. And here, see what we can do. Maybe it's not gonna work. Okay, let's just go for. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is, because we want to use hash map this time, so we need to import this library. So without that, we won't be able to use it. And now let's see in action. So here we're gonna start by let scores, right? Scores, let me scores equal new hash map dot. All right, so we have hash map new. So one thing also wanna let you know, guys, if you have installed VS Code, you can add this extension. There's this other extension that can also help you if you're coding. Let's look for it. My internet is a bit slow. Yeah. In the that can also help you as you're coding. So here, just continue hash map, and it's mutable, meaning that we can insert values, keys and values. So simply by calling this course and insert, and we have two values. So first value is, say, was Alice in the case, our example, and maybe 77. And then we have schools dot. Let me make sure that I didn't use score here before. Oh, there's schools. Let me change the name. Or let me rather just erase everything. Don't want to call it again. Okay, so we have schools, but insert. We'll have Bob, and Bob has 55. So we have these keys, two keys. So now we want to get a specific value from a key. So let's say if you want to get Alice, then you're gonna do this mesh scores dot get Alice, and sum if it's valid. So we're gonna say sum score and then Alice score. So let me just put this so you don't waste time. Okay, so there is two values that we inserted. So if this gives us an option, so if we get Alice, then print score, score, and if not, it's not found. So simple as that. We're going to see it in action and make sure we have no errors when we run it. Ooh la la, why is it taking time? Okay. Okay, let's kind of taking time to. Okay, so we'll just expect the score not found. We're gonna go back to the code. So here's how you so like we're just gonna quick recap. Hash map new to create an empty map, insert stores in the data, get key, like here gets the key here, gets the value of the key. Still taking time. I don't know, my laptop is a bit slow today for some reason. And here is another use of the hash map. But in this case, we created a text. So the text is hello space world space hello. Hello world space. Hello space world space hello. And then we created count, which is a new hash map, a new mutable hash map. So now this code is just basically saying that for word in text split white space. So this text, so it takes this text, which is hello world, hello space, world space, hello, and then dot split white space. So dot split white space just splits these into three. Or if I had 5 words here, 5 words that are separated by a space, then it's gonna be 5. It's gonna be split into 5 or whatever. So here it's split into hello, and then world, and then hello, and it removes all the space. So now here, let's count equal count for. So this place is a bit tricky. So now we create a new variable called count, and then equal count entry word. So it's taking this word, and then if that word is not there, it inserts 0. And then here we just increase the count by 1, and then it goes to world, the second world, and then it goes to hello. So if it's not word, then you just insert 0. So here just this is an explanation. You split the test into words. For each word, check if it's already in the hash map. If not, insert it with a starting value of 0 and increase the count if it still does not exist. So let's go back to our code here. And here we're dealing with a hash map. So now it shows that Alice is, we found this key, Alice. Now let's play around. Let me say, so for a quick shout or a message, what will happen if I say match scores.james? Let me come back here. What's going to happen? Thank you. Yes, correct. So since James does not exist, James is not in the key, then it's going to be not found. And here we can keep adding and adding and adding how many keys and value you want to add. It's up to us. Let me check the time. Yo, time is moving. So here is another way to, we use the hash map, another example. Can go through it and work with that. And here is also another thing that, let me see. Okay, so in Rust, there's two main types of string. There is this call it a slice string. There's a slice string, which is you use it for fixed text like hello, which is read only, and then the string, which is a growable text you can add to it. So here's an example. Let's just, for the sake of time, okay, I don't want, for the sake of saving time, I'm just going to copy and paste. But let me see. Okay. So here we've declared a variable, mutable variable called message, and then this just takes a string called hello. So this is another way of declaring a string. And now we can add, since it's a string you can add onto the string. We cannot do this. We cannot do this method using a split string. So it's a split string is that one that has the end and the str. So we can't do that. But with string, we can do this. So you can add, like for example, in this case, we're adding hello. We're adding world. We're adding a comma and world after hello. So you're gonna see it in action. So, and then we also declare a variable called name, which is Alice, and declare another variable called age, which is 25. So it's gonna be my name is, it's going to take the name. Sorry, this is something else. So the name and then the age. So for the first part of the code, we're printing out hello, printing out this message, which was just hello that was added world, comma world that was added to hello. So we can see the first part of the code is hello world. This code, we don't really need this here. We don't need this part. It's not that necessary. Now, question for you guys. So let's say I do that, and And here so what if I say message.push str and then push another thing called welcome? What can you expect on the output? This must be a very simple question. You can type that in. What would you expect to be in the output? Yes, exactly. So it's going to be just like Mohammed said. Thank you, Mohammed. So it's going to print out hello, world, and welcome because we're just pushing new string values onto this string vector. I can call it string vector. So to make it look more pretty, I can put a space here. And you can run it, and we're going to see the changes. So it's pretty much simple. So hello world, welcome. So let's go back to that. So here, this is some other important, this is good to know. Something that you can use when using Rust is like here, for example, we created a string, but look at that space. So there's a space, and then there's a string, hello Rust, and there's a space, and then double quote. So here, when you take this text and then you use this method called trim, so text.trim will just trim the hello space, right? We just remove the space at the start, at the end. And when I print out, it's just going to print out hello Rust with no space. And if I use two uppercase, text.to uppercase, this will simply make everything in the capital letter. And then there's also this method called text contains, and then we put Rust inside the method. So this just going to check if the text is going, if this text has Rust. If not, then it will give us a message that does not exist, an error message. So now you have, so this is something that you can use. So we're not going to get into that. So you can text it on your own time. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much straightforward, but it's going to make sense if you text it out. So here now, this is something that's also very important. This is file handling. We're going to quickly, let me see. Okay, let's just do it quickly. Let's finish this today. So now when you're dealing with file handling, you have to import this library. So the library, standard library, std and fs. So this just import the library that will enable you to work with files. So here we just, this line, something that we've done a lot, created a text. So this is just a text. And then we have 85, 92, 78. So these are not, this is not an integer. This is just a text that we have declared. And now this line, we are just writing scores. We are writing, and then we create a file called scores.txt that will take in, that will write. So we're basically going to write scores into scores.txt. Or else it's going to be unable to write if the file, if it doesn't write successfully. So that's what happens here. And then in order to read from the file, you have to do this. So you say let data, you declare a variable called data, and then you use this library fx read to string, and then you look for codes or text. If it's been created, then it's going to be a success if you have created it in your directory. If not, or if something is not right, then it's going to be unable to read, and then it's going to print out the data if it's successful. So let's run this one. So it's pretty much straightforward. And yeah, so we don't see an output. So what happened here is we've created scores.txt in this directory. So I can remove it here. We can even give it a different name. So let's delete this one permanently, because let's delete it. Okay, delete. You can call it score data. So I'm creating a file called score data, and then we're going to write scores in that data. So now let's run it. And you just check here, just check something's gonna change here. Just check on the left-hand side. And yes, there's code data. And remember, we put this value inside. And when we look here, okay, when we look, we're going to see that these are the data that we wrote. Yeah, I think I spoke a lot. But I want to give you the opportunity to ask any question. Before we get into writing a project together, we're gonna do that tomorrow. That we're gonna use everything together and build a project together using what we've learned so far. So tomorrow we're gonna create a project, a book inventory, where we're going to be storing books in a hash map, and you're going to be using the key as the ISBN, and the value is going to be the book struct, which will be the details of the book. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be more interactive. So preparation, you can go to this GitHub to go through what we've done, and you can also try out the codes if you have time, so that tomorrow we're going to work together step by step. And it's going to be simple. Like, there's 3 things that we're going to be doing. So first thing is add books. So we're going to be using hash map like we did here. And then the second step will be look up for a book. And the third step is going to be listing all books. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Any questions or any concerns, or even any questions about the project that we did? If you had any challenges. Anything? No questions? Okay, Mohammed, please shoot your question.
Yes, Ben. I really didn't get the returning point. Yeah, I really get confused. Yeah.
This is for the lesson yesterday, the last lesson
Yes,
that we
for the
had.
returning. Yeah, for the assignment.
Okay. So let's look here. So when we talk about return, we just talk about what we want to display after using a specific parameter or whatever we want to use, whatever function that we create. So the returning is just what we display. Like for example, here, this is a simple function that has no return. So when we use it, it's simply just going to print out, and use this function, it's just going to print out hello world. And there's no parameter here. So parameter is just what we add inside the function. So there's no parameters here in this case. But this is a function with a return and with a parameter. Like for example, here, when we have number, we have an I-22 number, and we put a number in this function. If we don't put anything here, nothing is going to happen. Because we created a function, there's a reason why we create a function. So for example, if you want to create a function that returns the sum of two numbers that are in that specific parameter, then you're going to create a function, for example, like add, and then you have two, since you're using two values, then there's going to be value A, or whatever name you give it, which is here in this case the I-32, and then there's value B, which is I-32, and then here it just shows you value is going to be returned. Is it going to be an I-32? Is it going to be a string? Is it going to be a floating point? So this is what you use that for. And here in the body, you just specify what you want to be returned. In this case, we want to return the summation, the sum of two numbers. So that's why we're taking the A, which is from this parameter, and the B from this parameter. So if in this parameter I put 2 and 5, then in the body, we're just going to take the 2, which is an A, and then we're going to take the 5, which is an B, and this is what's going to be returned. And remember, you put no semicolon for values that you're going to be returning. So let's take an example code here quickly before we go. Okay, so we're done for the class, but I just want to ask to do something here. So this is an example of the function that we did. And so this function just add numbers. So now here so this is just a function that you created, right? And you know what it returns. It returns whatever you put in this. It returns the sum of A and B. So the A and B is what you put in this parameter. So we're gonna write a variable, and then we're just gonna call this function. And then we put whatever number that we want. So let's say, let's put a simple number like 5 and 10. Then we're gonna print and we're gonna just do this. Let's say the sum is, then we're gonna take sum. So here, so I don't know how. So these just, when we declare a variable and then we use our function that we created here. So the function is add. So this function is just going to take 5 and 10. So it's going to be a plus b. A, 5 and 10, a plus b. And since we have no semicolon, so this is just going to return the a plus b here. So you're just going to imagine like this part here is going to be the a plus b, which is 5 plus 10, and is going to come to this variable called sum. So now sum is just going to be 5 plus 10, and then we just printing it out at the bottom. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know if that's a very good explanation.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and you can, if you struggle with what we did with the explanation, another way for you to like get in your head and to understand how everything works here, we can go down here and do some of these questions here. Let's go down here, some practice question, like write a function that divide this and that returns 100x. Write a function that does this. Write a function, just try some of these. This is not an assignment. This is just for testing purposes. So if you go through that, your head is gonna get used to working with it, and it's going to make more sense. Yeah, so that's the end of the today. Tomorrow we're gonna work together and see everything in action. All right, thank you guys for joining us tonight. So apologies for yesterday. I'll make sure next time I'm ready in case there's any trouble. Thank you and good night.
Thanks, Ben. Good night.
Night, night.